The first time I saw her after everything, it wasn't at a cafe. It wasn't at a family event. It was at the courthouse, and she wasn't prepared for the man I'd become.
The first time I saw her again after everything, it wasn't at some cozy cafe or a strained family gathering. No, it was at the courthouse. I spotted her the second I stepped through the metal detectors. She was standing by the windows, arms crossed so tight against her chest, her eyes darting around the room like she was waiting for a blow to land. For a split second, I wondered if she felt that same jolt I did, that electric shock of recognition. Or maybe she was just surprised to see me standing so straight. I hadn't always carried myself this way. A year earlier I was perpetually tired, sick but with no answers. I was barely holding it all together, trying my best to pretend nothing was wrong. Back then, she'd told me I was hard to love lately, that I'd lost my spark. What she conveniently left out was that she'd already found that spark somewhere else. But this time I didn't come alone. Walking right beside me was Claire. She wasn't dressed to impress, just a simple blouse, a calm expression, but she had this quiet certainty about her that just filled the space around us. She squeezed my hand gently as we walked toward the courtroom doors. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. And for the very first time, it wasn't a lie. My ex saw us then. Her eyes widened, just a fraction. That carefully practiced composure she had on started to slip. She looked from my face to Claire's hand in mine, and then back again like she was trying to recalculate a story she thought she already knew the ending to. Months ago, she'd probably imagined I'd just collapse without her, that I'd fade into the background, still sick, still confused, still chasing answers she had long stopped caring about. She was wrong. The hearing itself was just procedural. Papers shuffled. Lawyers spoke in these measured, dispassionate tones. Facts replaced feelings. I listened calmly as the evidence was reviewed, the financial inconsistencies, timelines that just didn't add up, commitments she had abandoned while I was running in and out of clinics, just trying to figure out what was happening to my own body. When the judge asked about custody, my teenage son spoke up. His voice shook a little at first, but it steadied as he went on. He talked about missed dinners, broken promises, and how he had learned to lower his expectations because it hurt less that way. I didn't look at her while he spoke. I didn't need to. The ruling came without any big drama. Custody favored stability. The assets were divided according to reality, not some performance of victimhood. There was no sympathy for excuses dressed up as a journey of self-discovery. When it was all over, the room emptied out pretty quickly. Outside, the air felt brighter than it had any right to. Claire and I stood near the steps while my attorney finalized some paperwork inside. That's when I heard my name. She was standing a few feet away, her eyes glossy, her voice thin. "I didn't know you'd moved on," she said. I thought about correcting her, explaining that I hadn't so much moved on as I had rebuilt myself, piece by agonizing piece. That healing had to come before happiness. That Claire wasn't some replacement, but a consequence of my own growth. Instead, I just said, "Life doesn't stop." She nodded slowly, swallowing hard. "I thought you'd still be angry." I was, I admitted, but anger doesn't age well. She glanced over at Claire again, and something that looked a lot like regret flickered across her face. "You look healthy," she said quietly. "I am," and that was the absolute truth. Treatment had helped, rest helped, distance definitely helped, and so did honesty, especially the kind you finally learn to offer yourself. Just then, my daughter ran out of the building, spotting me instantly. She threw her arms around my waist, just like she used to when she was little. Claire naturally stepped back, giving us our space without even needing to be asked. And that's when I knew. It wasn't because of the court ruling. It wasn't because of the look on my ex's face. It was because peace doesn't make some grand announcement. It just settles in quietly and waits to see if you'll notice. We walked down the courthouse steps together, not rushing, not looking back. Behind us, a chapter closed without any ceremony. Ahead of us, there was no grand promise, just consistency, care, and the incredible freedom that comes from no longer being invisible in your own life. Later that evening, as we all sat around the kitchen table, laughing over takeout, I realized something simple and final. The moment she saw me at the courthouse wasn't my victory. It was just proof that I had survived, and that was more than enough. Thanks for listening.